Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ryan Weber here at Fittynomics.com. Interviews with healthy gurus. Now, today's interview, we have a health coach, Nicole Marous, and she's going to go ahead and walk you through from start to finish what it's going to take if you want to get in a little bit better shape, diet, working out, everything. So, get your notebook ready, take some good notes, you're going to like it. Nicole, why don't you take a few seconds and introduce yourself, talk about what you do, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Well, I'm Nicole Marous. I am a personal trainer and also a certified health coach, an integrative nutrition health coach. And so I help people with both personal training, working out, and then the nutrition aspect of it too. So you need both.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And we are on location, ATP Evolution. Give those guys a little bit of plug. It's a great place to work out. If you're in the area, definitely check it out. So Nicole, let's say we have an individual. Let's say we have Kathy.
Okay.
Kathy is a single mother. She works as a secretary, 8 to 5, 5 days a week, a little bit of stress in her life, and she really wants to maybe lose about 15, 20 pounds, get in better shape, and get some more confidence.
Yeah.
So you being a health coach, why don't you kind of walk us through from start to finish what you would do with somebody like Kathy?
Sure. So first I'd probably have Kathy come in. I would have her tell me about her goals. I think setting goals is really important. People always want to lose 5 or 10 pounds, but they don't really sit down and decide why I want to lose, this weight and what is it going to do for me once I get, once I get there. And so I think the biggest thing is really sitting down and analyzing where you want to be in a month, in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year, and why you want to be there. And so that's what I kind of do, is help you kind of draw that out. And people want to lose 5 pounds, but why? Because they want to look better in a bathing suit, because they want to fit in clothes they haven't worn before, because 5 pounds ago they were at a better place in their life, so why they want to get in that shape anyway. So instead of just saying, I want to lose 5 pounds, but really getting deep down into the why, because if there's no why, then the motivation's only going to last a little bit of time.
Good point.
So that's the first thing I would do, for sure.
Okay.
Next, I would probably sit down with them and go through what they're doing in a day. So many people think that they're doing a good job.
Right.
So they come in and they're like, I'm doing everything right. But once they start to write it down and they walk me through, okay, this is what I have for breakfast, this is what this is my lunch, this is my snack. And once they talk it, even before they write it down, once they just talk it through, they realize, maybe I'm not being as good as I thought I was. And so a lot of times, what we think is good isn't necessarily what is right. And so I'd have them come in, they'd write down what they do, which I think is really important. And I use a computer system that they can actually go in, log on, and use, calculate their calories, their carbohydrates, their protein, so we could go back in there and see where the missing links are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So let's say Kathy is about 150 pounds, give or take, and she wants to get down to 130.
Okay.
What would you do?
Yeah. So calorie-wise, a pretty good rule of thumb, everybody wants to know how many calories I should eat in a day. A pretty good rule of thumb is to take your goal weight. So if your goal weight is to weigh 130, if you multiply that by 10, that gives you kind of a starting point. So 130 times 10 is 1,300. So that's
women.
For women, yes. This is for women, for Kathy. So 1,300 calories a day is going to be your guideline. So that's going to be on your low spectrum. If you're not working out that day, that's kind of where you want to aim. Sure. On days when you're working out, you're a little bit more hungry, you're burning extra calories, you might be able to increase that to maybe 1,500 or 1,600. On the weekends, maybe you have a little extra meal, a glass of wine, so your average might be 1,500 calories, but if your goal is to stick to that 1,300 calories, you should be able to lose weight rather quickly, 1 pound to 2 pounds a week doing that.
Now, with that 1,300 calories, about how many meals and what's the meal frequency throughout the day? Like so many hours, how would you space that out?
Yeah, so depending on someone's schedule, I like to say if you can eat every 2 to 3 hours, that's great. Good. Some people don't have that flexibility and they can't do that. And so everybody's different. So you have to look at bio-individuality, and everybody's different, everybody's schedule's different. So some people come to me and say, I physically cannot go and eat every couple hours. And so you don't have to sit down and have a meal every couple hours, but it's easy to pack little things, snack-wise. So So nuts, like I usually have people make little bags of trail mix, so they can do pumpkin seeds and walnuts and pistachios and little tiny bit of dark chocolate. And so little things that you can kind of make meals that are quick if you're sitting at your desk and you're not able to get to a kitchen. You could do easy snacks like that. But so let's say you're doing 1,300 calories, you'd probably have 300 calorie meals, and then a couple 200 calorie meals, something like that. And it's all about volume, so being able to eat the most amount of food for the least amount of calories. So you can eat a huge salad with chicken breasts and some good stuff on it that's gonna fill you up, but only be 300 calories or less. And so it's all about, 300 calories doesn't seem like a lot, but you can actually get a lot of volume of food for that if you're doing it the right way.
Sure. Okay, so we have the trail mix example. We have a big grilled chicken salad example. What about for breakfast? And also give us an example of like what a healthy dinner would look like.
Yeah. So breakfast, depending again on time, how much time you have. In the summer, I like to do smoothies, because it's quick, it's warm outside, so it's easy. You can throw in spinach and fruits and a little protein powder. You can throw that in and you can make a pretty good, decent sized smoothie for 250, 300 calories.
And it tastes good.
And it tastes good, yeah. Right. You can throw in, stuff that you probably wouldn't sit down and eat, like kale, like a big thing of kale for breakfast. You wouldn't do, but you could throw in some kale leaves for breakfast.
It's really not going to taste it, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So I got some great recipes that I know we'll put on the website for some smoothies. In the winter, I like things that are more warming. So I'll do steel-cut oatmeal. I love that. I make it in the crock pot on Sunday, and I have it for the rest of the week. And so I have a really good recipe for steel-cut oats. So you can have a cup of that once it's already cooked, and that's about 150 calories. You throw a couple seeds in there, throw some coconut oil in there, some natural peanut butter, almond butter, and you're right about 250, 300 calories. So those are two things I like. If you have the time, on the weekends, I like to do like a big omelet where you can do some egg whites, maybe a yolk or two, throw in some veggies, do an omelet, something like that. So.
And then for dinner?
Dinner, I like to keep, depending on working out. So you said Kathy works 9 to 5, so if she's working out right after work, I would say that she can have some complex carbohydrates for dinner, because she's gonna, depending on what her workout is. If not, if they're working out in the morning or they're not working out during the day, I try to keep my dinner lighter and not so many carbohydrates. So some kind of lean protein, fish, chicken, I make turkey meatballs, things like that, and then a lot of veggies. So big thing of veggies at night. In the winter, I like to do some soups.
Now you also said complex carbohydrates. Would you throw in sweet potato or anything like that as well?
Yep. So sweet potato, brown rice, yams,
and that's
things
along
like that.
with the lean protein and the veggies,
Yep,
correct?
exactly.
They have it balanced out.
Yep. So I always tell clients, earn your carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are an energy source, and so if you're not working out that day, you don't need as many carbohydrates, you don't need as many calories on the days that you're not working out. On the days you are working out, you're able to burn off the carbs and the sugars and stuff like that. So you can eat more carbs on those days.
And I agree 100%. If you go a couple of days with, if you're used to working out, lifting, playing sports, whatever, and you go a couple of days and you haven't done that, I find for myself, I try to eat as much, but I just don't. I'm just not as hungry.
Exactly.
So if it's kind of difficult for you when you first start out, just be patient, give it some time, and your body will adapt and kind of get used to what you're going to do. Yep. So we have the nutrition out of the way. How about working out? How many times a week? For how long? What would you tell Kathy to do?
Yeah. Well, depending on where you're starting, I always say, start small and then kind of work your way up. In the beginning, you get sore, you get hungry, and so it's all about baby steps. Sometimes people, they've got this big goal in mind and they want to hurry up and do it, and they go all in. And how many times have we done that? We go all in, and then all of a sudden, 3 weeks goes by and we are so sore and we're starving and we haven't lost a pound yet, and so we get frustrated and we quit. So I always say it's about baby steps, and if every week you can do something, change one meal, add a new healthy, routine, then do it, because that's going to keep you going versus trying to go all in. So I'd say in the beginning, if you're sedentary, not working out, just to strive for like 3 days a week, and then gradually each week increase the time that you're there. So let's say the first week you start off 3 days, 30 minutes. The next week, maybe do 3 days, 45 minutes. The next week, maybe do 4 45 minutes. So somehow, depending on your lifestyle and the time that you have, slowly increase it. You want to do both cardiovascular and weight training. They do two totally different things, so you don't want to negate one or the other. So if you're doing 3 days a week, making sure that you're getting either 1 day cardio, 1 day weight training, or both in 1 day. But you never want to do back-to-back, same body parts. So if you're doing legs 1 day, you don't want to do legs the next day. So somehow split it, whether it's a full body Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whether, let's say, you can only do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tuesday do upper body, Wednesday lower body, Thursday back to upper body, and then the next week maybe rotate.
Okay, cool. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
And what about people who want to do something more along the lines of like yoga or Pilates or maybe in a boot camp?
Yeah. Well, I think balance is key. So you never want to just focus on one kind of training. So your core is important, flexibility is important, it's all important. Now, again, depending how much time you have, sometimes you can't do everything, but you can do a little bit of something in every workout. So for instance, with a lot of my clients, we'll do a full body weight training, but then we'll throw a little bit of yoga in there. So you don't necessarily have to do a full yoga workout, because if you were going to do yoga, Pilates, kickboxing, cardio, you'd be working out 20 days a week. I mean, you just can't fit that many hours into...
Baby steps.
Right, exactly. It's baby steps. So working on maybe challenging yourself, trying new things, and finding what you like. I think the biggest thing is you have to really like what you do and listening to your body. And, some people love yoga and they feel so good doing yoga. And then other people, that's just not for them. And so they need the stretching aspect, but maybe not as much as somebody else does. And maybe they just incorporate 5 or 10 minutes of yoga in. So it's really about what what's right for you and what works for you. So experiment. What I say to a client is, listen to your body and just kind of go with the flow and see how you feel. And it's not set in stone that you have to do this specific workout, on these days. You can kind of listen to your body and change it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously taking the first step, it's a baby step, can be the most difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
So anybody who's a little bit hesitant, maybe needs some extra encouragement, since you're a coach and I've seen you in action, you do a great job with women you train, what would you say to somebody who's kind of like, I don't know, Nicole? How would you handle that?
That you don't know what? Like...
They just are like, I'm so tired, I just don't have time, I gotta take little Johnny to basketball practice.
Yeah.
Obviously making time for them is going to be important and key, so how would you kind of help motivate that person? So make them feel like, they're important and they're more confident that they can, get in shape and feel better.
Well, what I notice most with people is that we lack that confidence because we've all tried the diets before. We've all made New Year's resolutions before. We've all failed. We've all tried and failed. And so we think, how is this going to be different? And that's where I think when you have that goal in mind and when every day you renew your mind and you focus on why am I doing this? And you have to have another reason besides just looking good. You have to have those deep-rooted goals of I want to look good, but at the same time I want that longevity. I want, you have to have those big, I call them big whys. The big whys of why I'm doing this. Because if you don't constantly renew your mind every day, you're going to have days where you just don't feel like it. So every day I tell my clients, to journal, to take some time. It's a lot more about here and here than it is about being in the gym and about what you eat. You really have to take time to reflect and take time to do things for yourself. And I tell my clients, get massages regularly and do things for yourself and to sit down and I think journaling is the biggest thing because that will force you to uncover why you're here, why you're doing this, and what you want, and looking back at your journal and seeing how far you've come on those days when you don't want to go to the gym. So I think really having an accountability partner is also really good. So whether it's a coach, like you or I, or whether it's finding a friend and saying let's do this together because when I get discouraged, I need someone that I can call. So I think the biggest thing is getting over the past and saying just because I didn't make it where I wanted to before doesn't mean that I can't do it now and I have to do something different. And so I think the renewing of your mind every day is big.
Right.
Yeah.
You bring up a great point. We're talking about feeding your body something nutritious and working out, doing things for your body, but you said do something for your mind. Maybe with breakfast you can in the background play something that's motivational or inspiring for 15 minutes, whether you're watching YouTube, listening to a CD, reading a book, whatever. If you start off your day with something healthy for your mind as well as your body, that kind of sets the tone. So for the rest of the day, you're like, no matter what goes on, you can do it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely. I also tell people to educate themselves. So, like watching these videos, this is great because it's educating themselves. The more you educate yourself, the more you're going to want to be healthy because you're going to learn what food does for the body, what food does for the mind, and how you think and how you feel. And so, the more you educate yourself, you don't just take a trainer's meal plan and say, this is what I'm going to do, but the more you educate yourself on why you're doing it, the more motivated you are going to be to keep going because you're educating. So educate yourself is really important.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Nicole, thank you very much for your time.
Sure, my pleasure.
If anybody wants to get a hold of you and ask you some more questions, how can they do that?
Great. Well, you can email me. My email address is Nicole Marous at atp.evolution.com. That's Nicole, Nicole Marous at atpevolution.com.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. Interviews with Healthy Gurus, and we'll see you soon.